Assalamu alaikum friends. Welcome back to ChemMystery Unlocked. Today we are diving into one of the most important topics in chemistry, moles and stoichiometry. Let's start this topic with what is a mole? आखिर ये मोल है क्या? A mole is just a way to count particles. Particles can be anything. They can be atoms, molecules, or ions. Just like a dozen means 12. That way, a mole is just a way to count particles. अब मोल हमारे पास है क्या? मोल है हमारे पास एक वे काउंट करने का पार्टिकल्स को. पार्टिकल्स हमारे पास एटम्स भी हो सकते हैं, मॉलिक्यूल्स भी हो सकते हैं या फिर आयंस भी हो सकते हैं. अब इसको याद करने का एक ईजी तरीका ये है कि जिस तरह डज़न का मतलब होता है 12, उसी तरह मोल एक वे है काउंट करने का पार्टिकल्स को. It is the amount of a substance that contains 6.02 into 10 to the power 23 particles. This number is called Avogadro's constant. This very large number 6.02 into 10 to the power 23 is the Avogadro's constant, named after a scientist whose picture you can see over here. ये हमारे पास अमाउंट ऑफ सब्सटेंस होता है जो कि कंटेन करता है 6.02 इंटू 10 टू दी पावर 23 पार्टिकल्स, और ये नंबर हमारे पास कहलाया जाता है एवोगाड्रोस कांस्टेंट. Now let's move ahead. Now that we know what a mole is, let's see how it works in real life. 1 mole of any substance contains fixed number of particles, which is 6.02 into 10 to the power 23. That could be atoms, molecules or ions depending on the substance. तो हमारे पास 1 मोल इक्वल्स टू 6.02 इंटू 10 टू दी पावर 23 पार्टिकल्स, जो कि फिक्स नंबर ऑफ पार्टिकल्स होते हैं वो होता है. 1 मोल कंटेन करता है फिक्स नंबर ऑफ पार्टिकल्स जो कि होता है 6.02 इंटू 10 टू दी पावर 23. फॉर गैसेस at room temperature and pressure, 1 mole of any gas takes up a volume of 24 dm cube, which is the same as 24,000 centimeter cube. अच्छा, रूम टेम्परेचर एंड प्रेशर पे 1 मोल गैस का ऑक्यूपाई करता है वॉल्यूम 24 dm क्यूब, जो कि होता है सेम 24,000 सेंटीमीटर क्यूब से. Because 24 dm cube, if we multiply 24 dm cube by 1000, we will get the answer converted into centimeter cube, 24,000 centimeter cube. And to convert from centimeter cube to dm cube, we will divide it by 1000. Now coefficient shows the number of moles. Now what is a coefficient? Coefficient is the number written behind the element or the compound. Let's see some examples now. Sodium is the first example. Na equals to 23 gram equals to 1 mole, and 1 mole equals to 6.02 into 10 to the power 23, as we saw it above in the point. Now oxygen, O2. There are 2 atoms of oxygen, and one atom of oxygen has 16 gram. So we multiply that 16 by 2 to get 32 grams, and that is equal to 1 mole. And 1 mole is equal to 6.02 into 10 to the power 23 fixed number of particles. Now CH4. Carbon is 12 and there are 4 atoms of hydrogen, so 12 plus 4 equals to 16 gram. 16 gram equals to 1 mole, and 1 mole equals to 6.02 into 10 to the power 23 fixed number of particles. Now chlorine. One atom of chlorine has 35.5 grams. So two atoms, we multiply 35.5 by with 2 now, and we will get 71 grams, and that is equal to 1 mole, and 1 mole is equal to 6.02 into 10 to the power 23 particles. Now let's move ahead on to the first method. This is type 1, calculations without equations. Now let's move ahead on to method 1 now. The first method is very straightforward and easy to use than the second method. There's one more method to solve the questions. We will discuss both of them, and you guys can choose whichever one you want to use, whichever one you find easy. So let's start. Point 1 is start from the given value. जो भी हमारे पास given value होगी हमने उससे start करना है. Use proportion based on 1 mole value. For example, we have 12 gram of carbon. We know from the periodic table that 1 mole of carbon is 12 grams. So we can directly set up a proportion. In easy words, just remember, in step 1, we will start from given value. Then we will compare it with 1 mole value. Then we will use cross multiplication to find the unknown. Now let's move on to method 2. Method 2 is write the formula n equals to m upon mr. Now what is n and what is m and what is mr? N is the number of moles, m is the mass, and mr is the relative molecular or the atomic mass. Now identify the given mass and the relative molecular mass. We will identify it from the given question, and we will calculate the relative molecular mass. Substitute the values into the formula. We will substitute the values, formula में हम लोग substitute कर देंगे, और फिर simplify to find the unknown, the thing being asked. जो भी चीज़ पूछी होगी क्वेश्चन में, वो उसके लिए हम लोग सिंप्लीफाई कर देंगे ताकि हमें अननोन मिल जाए. Now let's start with the first question. Both methods are written in the solution. You can use any one of them. It is your choice. The question is, find out the mass of 0.5 moles of sodium chloride. First, I will get the molar mass of sodium chloride, which is the mr. Now NaCl equals to Na is 23. This is the bigger number written in the periodic table with the element. So 23, and chlorine is 35.5. Now we will add both of them with each other. So mr equals to 23 plus 35.5. So the answer comes out to be 58.5 grams. Now we know that the mr is 58.5 gram. Now let's start with the first method. As we know that the question is asking for us to find the mass of 0.5 moles. वो मास का हमसे पूछ रहा है कि हम लोग मास फाइंड आउट करें 0.5 moles का NaCl के. So we will write NaCl equals to 58.5 gram. We got the mr of NaCl, so we can write it over here, 58.5 gram, and that is equal to 1 mole, and we know 1 mole is equal to the fixed number of particles, 6.02 into 10 to the power 23. Now we will use the proportion we will compare it with the 1 mole value. So 1 mole is required to get 58.5 grams. So 0.5 moles is given now. So 0.5 moles is required to get the x grams. Now we will cross multiply it. 58.5 into 0.5, x equals to 58.5 into 0.5. So the answer comes out to be 29.25 grams. Now let's move on to method 2. The answer will be the same, okay? So no need to worry about that. Method 2 was the formula 1, n equals to m over mr. So we know that n is the number of moles, m is the mass, and mr is the relative molecular mass or the relative atomic mass. Now we will rearrange the formula to get mass. M equals to n into mr now, because the question was asking for the mass, so we rearranged it. Now m equals to 0.5. As we know, the number of moles is given in the question, 0.5 moles. So 0.5 is the n. 0.5 into mr, we calculated the mr to 58.5 gram. So 0.5 into 58.5, mass is 29.25. Let's move ahead on to the next question now. Find the number of moles in 36 gram of H2O. H2O, we will calculate the mr now first. H2O equals to, there are 2 atoms of H, so 2, H equals to 2 and oxygen is 16. So mr equals to 2 plus 16. So the mr comes out to be 18 grams. Now the first method, H2O equals to 18 gram, the mr, and then that is equal to 1 mole, and 1 mole is equal to 6.02 into 10 to the power 23. Okay, 18 gram, 1 mole is required to get 18 gram. So how many moles will be required to get 36 grams? Now we will cross multiply it again. You can write it over here, the moles, or write it over there, that doesn't matter, that is your choice. So we will cross multiply it now. X equals to 36 into 1, that will be 36. So divided by 18, 36, x equals to 36 divided by 18. So the answer comes out to be 2 moles. Now method 2, n equals to m upon mr. N is the number of moles, m is the mass, and mr is the relative molecular mass. Now n equals to, we know that the mass is 36 gram as it is given in the question and we know that the mr is 18 gram. So 36 divided by 18, n equals to the number of moles, n equals to 2 moles. Let's move ahead on to the next question now. The next question is, find out the moles of 20 dm cube of O2. Okay, so we will calculate the mr of oxygen now. O2 equals to 16 into 2, as we know that the atomic mass of oxygen is 16. So we will multiply it by the number of atoms of oxygen. So 16 into 2 equals to 32 grams. Now we will move on to the first method. O2 equals to 32 gram, as we know that the mr is 32 grams. 32 grams equals to 1 mole, and that is equal to 6.02 into 10 to the power 23, and that is equal to 24 dm cube. As we know, this is a gas. So 1 mole of any gas occupies 24 dm cube. Now the question is asking us to find out the number of moles and volume is given. So 1 mole occupies 24 dm cube. We know that. We will write it over here in the first step. 1 mole occupies 24 dm cube. So how many moles will occupy 20 dm cube? Now we will cross multiply it. 20 divided by 24, x equals to 20 upon 24. So the answer comes out to be x equals to 0.833 moles. Now let's move on to method 2. To go with method 2, we need number of moles or mass or the MR. We already know the MR of oxygen, so and we need to find out the moles, but we don't have mass. So first we will cross multiply it to find out the mass. So 32 gram occupies 24 dm cube. So x occupies 20 dm cube. Now we will cross multiply it. 20 into 32 divided by 24. So the answer comes out to be x equals to 26.67 grams. Now we will use the formula. Now we have the mass and we have the MR, the relative molecular mass or the relative atomic mass. So n equals to m over mr. N equals to 26.67 is the mass and 32 is the mr. So 26.67 upon 32, answer comes out to be 0.833 moles. So आज तक हमने जितना कवर कर लिया वो बहुत है. इंशाल्लाह मैं अपने नेक्स्ट लेक्चर के साथ मिलूँगा. तब तक के लिए दुआओं में ख़ास याद रखिएगा. नेक्स्ट लेक्चर में इंशाल्लाह हम लोग इसके और एग्जांपल्स करेंगे टाइप 1 की एंड देन वी विल मूव ऑन टू टाइप 2. तब तक के लिए दुआओं में ख़ास याद रखिएगा. अल्लाह हाफ़िज़.